Well, welcome back to another Dynodaze video, a glorious Milano Red FN2 Type R. We fitted some modifications today. We fitted a Piper manifold and Piper sports cat to keep it legal. That's mated to a Tegiwa 70mm, and as you can see, it's got a Tegiwa airbox, carbon fibre airbox on it. That's not going to help in power, but it looks pretty. So we're going to do a stock run as she is since we've modified her. Then we're going to use the Ecutek software, flash that onto the stock ECU, and get cracking. So here we go. Oh, I love an FN2. Please excuse the Morrissey t-shirt, but this is a Honda Civic FN2 Type R. It's got oil, and they all have oil, and you've got to make sure they've got oil in it because that's what keeps Civics alive. And you can get some oil and save some money on it at worldoflubricant.co.uk and put in the code dyno at the checkout and just save money, and it's what it's all about. Okay, a lovely low mileage Milano Red FN2 Type R. It's got a carbon Tegiwa airbox. Not sure that's helping much, but it does look all right. It's got the Piper manifolded sports cat 2.5 inch that Richard's fitted today, mated to a Tegiwa 70mm, which got a bit of a rattle on it, but we have diagnosed that as the heat shields are rotting off.
Which is a common problem, ain't it?
We did actually notice a little bit of a fault as well, didn't we, this morning with this?
Yeah, weird one. I dropped the under tray down and a large washer fell out of it. And then I sort of looked around because I sort of recognised that washer about where it might have been located. It did have a little bit of a gearbox oil leak, but only from the fill bung, and the washer was from the fill bung. So I did put that back on for the gentleman. Yeah,
because he's just had a drive shaft done by a mobile mechanic, and he obviously couldn't find that washer that he'd put down somewhere.
Oh, I wouldn't say he put it down. I'd say I think it came off the bolt, off the
when he took it out.
The bung took it off and it fell on the subframe or something. Then obviously he put the under tray back on, and then obviously it's rattled onto the under tray, because when I dropped the under tray it fell out.
Yeah. Yeah, so this came in after those modifications. It made 223, which is a good result for a strong low mileage FN2, and then it's got a little bit of peak power at 228, made about 25 brake horsepower in the mid-range.
It remains sort of power everywhere. It's got a low mileage, this car, 75,000. You don't see many with that sort of mileage on it here, generally, not anymore. So relatively low mileage, which I think is why it's nicely up on power. Yeah, I think all in all, an absolutely great result. I mean, like you said with the sports cat, they're a little bit wavy and stuff in the mid-range, but like I say, that's the price you pay for legality, so that's where we are.
Got to stay legal these days, haven't you? Got to stay legal.
Sure.
The Po don't like it.
No, not with the new MOT rules. I've all over my Facebook's been saying that they have been doing people have been doing this. I have seen this already, but they're saying they're now rolling it out, aren't they, for photos on all vehicles.
What's that mean then?
Well, they'll basically, an MOT station will then have to take photos. So you can't have, because what they're trying to combat is obviously ghost MOTs, where people are obviously MOT vehicles that have never seen an MOT station. So they just put the information in and away it go. What they're now doing is that you'll have to have a picture taken in the MOT bay, and obviously underneath and on top, so things like decats, they'll be able to see that.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
It's only us lot that are bending any rules when we have to do anything like that. So you know, I understand what they're doing, keeping people safe. I mean,
but what it also means is the ministry won't have to ride out and just try and catch someone out. They'll be able to look at images and photos of a vehicle and then say, "Hey, that car's got no cat on it," or whatever. It will deter that if you understand.
Yeah,
that's the idea of it.
I get that, and that means your MOT prices are probably going to go up.
Yeah, they will go up for sure, because obviously there's going to be more work for them to do, isn't there?
Yeah.
Plus, also, if they're taking a picture of the underside and there's a big rot hole in it, well, no one's just.
But I've said this for years, and no disrespect to anybody at home, but you know, I still believe that you should have to have any modifications or work that you do on your car at home signed off by a professional.
Absolutely. I actually do agree with that. There's not many times I agree with that sort of thing, but I do agree with it. You see, don't you, sometimes, like particularly young men, they would have fitted a manifold to their car and not fitted it correctly, and then they've been sitting there with a girlfriend, they both died in the car because they're breathing in carbon monoxide through the heaters. You know, it's we've seen cars that have come in and the seats are not attached properly. So, hey, buddy, your seat's not bolted down. Yeah, I'm sort of halfway through doing that. You're driving that around like that. You know what I mean? It's when you have an accident, that seat's coming off the floor.
I've seen it in my local town where a young lad had fitted 3 of his 4 coilovers and then had an accident.
Yeah. No, it probably wasn't necessarily related. It might not have been related, but it certainly would be blamed on that when the police check that out, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
what I'm saying is, other countries, certainly like New Zealand and Australia, if you modify your car, which is allowed, then you have to have it certified. So someone has to look at that and say, yeah, that's the right ride height. There has to be a certain amount of ground clearance. That is correct. You are within specification. Here you go. Sign a piece of paper. That's it. You've got your...
Because certified. If you're going to modify a car and you love your car and you want to do it properly, no one should really care about having to do that. Let's say you fit a set of coilovers yourself, and then it's 20 quid to have the lad at the local garage sign that off. You'd do it. You'd pay it. I think you'd pay it. The roads would be a safer place. I've seen some cars just, you know, taped up.
I mean, yeah, some of the cars we get, I'm not saying they're all bad, but we generally say now, if someone says it's a home build, especially if it's turboed or something like that,
we have to spend
more time. It's a home build. We have to spend more time with that customer. So we have to say, okay, start sending us some images, send us your spec, let's have a look at what you've got. Are those boost parts beaded? You know, go through just the stuff that we constantly see. The car gets here and they just want to book in for a map.
It's why,
and then you could spend a day rectifying silly little faults.
It's why health checks are so important. We've had a couple of cars recently, let's say they were winning competitions, and we've done a nut and bolt check on them, and I'm glad my children aren't driving around in those cars.
Yeah.
You know, so it's it's important. I think if you're buying a car, get a professional to check it over first before you start, you know, really go. Before you take it the Nürburgring, get someone to check it over first.
I've seen very, very similar to what you've just said there. Again, a guy that repairs like R8s and stuff like that. I won't mention the company name, but he's doing the same thing. He's saying, don't be buying a car blind, because these cars are now starting to get cheap.
Yeah.
They said, but they're not cheap to repair. So you think you're buying a bargain, someone already knows what's wrong with that car and they're doing it. So it's well worth paying us to check that vehicle over before you buy it, because yes, that's going to cost you some money to do that, but it might actually save you a lot of money in the long run.
That's not necessarily a sales pitch from us, but we do this help. Well, there we have it. Red line as she came in, blue line as she leaves. Lowered VTEC, extended the rev range, made about 25 brake horsepower in the mid-range there. It counts at a little bit of peak power, and we finish on 228.7 brake horsepower. That's 192 at the wheels. Another fabulous FN2 done, and as you guys well know, with better modifications comes more power. So next up for this car probably is going to be a decent induction kit, followed by an RRC inlet manifold, and then another tuner. That'll be up there on power, but there's further to go if you want injectors and cams, but we're here to help if anybody needs any advice on that. So do hit us up on the social media stuff, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Comment on this video below. Hype this video up for me. But you know where we are if you need us. Pick up the phone and we'll see you on the next one.